I supported Hillary, and I wanted her to win. The people who were making the decisions, even for the DNC, they didn't come and work with us. They told us to shut up and basically let them win the election.
Wow, she was lighting it up yesterday. Donna Brazile unleashing on fellow Democrats her bombshell revealing how much of a hold the Clinton machine had on the Democratic Party, and they still lost.
Dinesh D'Souza is a conservative filmmaker and author of The Big Lie. He joins us now to weigh in. All right, so Dinesh, there's so many bombshells here. Where do you want to start?
Well, I'll just start with the fact that it's not that what Donna Brazile said is new, but what it is insider confirmation of what outsiders have been saying for a long time. So look at Trump. Look at the way Trump is vindicated in his insinuation that this Democratic primary was rigged.
He was right.
When Trump says it's a pattern. It's almost like Trump puts this into his "I told you so, I was right again" file. Trump says it, the media ridicules it, Trump proves to be right.
Arrogance of Brooklyn. She talked about being essentially assigned to feeling like a slave.
Now, this is incredible because this goes beyond the rigging allegation. She's now saying something that, again, many of us have insinuated or suspected, namely that the Democratic Party operates like a plantation. And they expect people like Donna Brazile to be overseers or happy slaves on the plantation. And if they go out of line, if they sing a different song, they come under fierce attack. And basically, Donna Brazile was saying, I'm not taking it. I'm walking off this plantation. The very language of it, I'm not Patsy the slave. I think that was her quote.
Right.
Stunning
it is.
Window into the soul of the Democratic Party.
Surely. And ultimately, the DNC was in the tank for Hillary because she essentially bought and sold, or, bought off the DNC because they needed money. Here she is talking about that.
I raised the money, and they're like, you got to get signed off from Brooklyn. I said, Brooklyn? This wasn't a standard joint fundraising agreement. They had a separate memorandum of understanding, and I needed to break that. But in order to break it, I would cause a great commotion. So, yeah, I'm not Patsy the slave because I got sick and tired of people telling me how to spend money when all I was trying to do.
There's that soundbite.
I mean, it's not only startling that they had this financial leverage, it's also that Donna Brazile says she felt fear of the Clintons. Think about that. I mean, I made a movie about Hillary. I felt fear about the Clintons, but I never said so. I never even hinted it. But Donna Brazile says, and this is almost gives you the idea that Clintons are kind of mafia, where if you run athwart them, even on the same side, you might end up in a scary place.
So the thing is, marginalize Trump for saying this, marginalize Republicans for attacking, but you go ahead and marginalize Donna Brazile. And go ahead and marginalize an African-American leader of the Democratic Party and tell her she doesn't know what she's talking about. You guys go have at it.
There's a joint memo by several of the Clinton staffers basically saying Donna Brazile is now regurgitating the Russian line. So think about this. They're now accusing Donna Brazile of being a pawn of the Russians.
Oh, boy, oh, boy. All right. Quite a book.
Yeah, that is a huge leap, by the way. The biggest leap yet. Dinesh D'Souza, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Is raising questions about how Clinton Foundation donors influenced the State Department. Again, that pay to play. We want to bring in the creator and producer of the documentary Hillary's America, Dinesh D'Souza. Dinesh, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, your film has been getting a lot of talk and praise for pointing all of this out. What's your take on this? Hillary Clinton actually giving jobs to donors in government.
I think that these latest revelations are just part of a continuing pattern, and what the pattern shows is the way in which the Clintons sort of do business. They have essentially taken public policy and a foreign policy and made it a matter of access. If you have money, they're willing to trade. And so it's a very bizarre phenomenon. Essentially, the Clintons are selling public policy. And you have to understand that that's how they've accumulated this enormous personal net worth. They've gone from zero to a couple of $100 million on a government salary. So what is the product that they've been selling? They didn't start a business. They didn't invent the iPhone. Their product is public policy. It's a very scary thing to contemplate.
You know, we were just chatting during the commercial break here about the Elizabeth Warren hearing, where Elizabeth Warren was just, hammering John Stumpf. I'm not defending John Stumpf or Wells Fargo because that was a horrible thing that Wells Fargo did, creating these 2 million phony accounts. But she was so aggressive on him, and we haven't heard a peep out of her in terms of these kinds of things. She's supporting Hillary Clinton. There are new pay-to-play questions right now over former President Bill Clinton. In January 2014, President Clinton received $260,000 for a speech that lasted less than an hour for the Fragrance Foundation. Just months after that speech, the Clinton Foundation helped fund an effort in Haiti to have farmers grow limes. The project came at a time when high lime prices were hurting profits across the perfume industry. None of this being talked about by Elizabeth Warren.
It's remarkable to see in which the Clintons have not only made money off of Canadian billionaires who want mineral rights in Kazakhstan. In other words, they haven't just made money off rich people. They've also figured out how to make money off the poorest of the poor. A lot of aid money was designated for Haiti. Hillary Clinton's brother got on a board and made money out of Haiti mining contracts. The Clinton Foundation has gotten all kinds of benefits out of Haiti. So this is actually a very tawdry picture of using the trouble spots in the world and some of the most desperately poor people in the world in order to benefit the Clintons personally and also to benefit their foundation, which has gone from $0 to $3 billion.
Dinesh, that story that Bill Clinton's speaking fees is on the front page of the Wall Street Journal today. That Bill Clinton's speaking fees overlapped with foundation business related to this fragrance, paid by the fragrance industry, but it was related to business that the fragrance industry later benefited from in a Haitian project, the Charities Haitian project. But all of this, we tend to get and walk into the weeds, into the morass with this because the details are so complicated, the relationships so complicated. Is it resonating with people who might be on the fence about who to vote for president?
I think it can if it's expressed in the right way. Look, we've obviously had presidents and high public officials who were wealthy. JFK was a wealthy man. FDR was wealthy. But they obviously didn't make money off of the presidency or off of high public office. No one would accuse Reagan or Bush or even Jimmy Carter of having come to the government in order to get rich. The Clintons, in this sense, are in a league of their own. Going back to the Arkansas days, continuing when they were in the White House, you know, selling the Lincoln bedroom, selling presidential pardons for cash. There's a kind of accumulating picture here for anyone who has eyes to see.
Dinesh, do you not think that the headline for this fragrance speech should be "It stinks"? Because that's what most American voters are going to think about this corruption. We haven't even talked about the fact that the Clinton Foundation itself appears to be a scam. Didn't they give out less than 10% of the actual money to charity, and the rest of it is paying for fees? So essentially, you're just paying them, and they give a nominal amount to charity.
They gave 6% away.
6%.
Yeah, their foundation is the foundation is clearly a charity front. It's really a way for them to accumulate wealth for themselves. And if you look at Bill Clinton's speaking fees, his speaking fees were in the normal range of other former presidents until Hillary became a powerful senator, and then when she became Secretary of State, his speaking fees literally quadrupled. He's gotten $500,000 to $700,000 for a single speech. The speech itself is pure rubbish, but by and large what people are paying is they're paying for something that they wanted Hillary as Secretary of State to do, and the speech was a kind of disguised form of a bribe.
Dinesh, the mainstream media really is ignoring this entire thing. So if you were the campaign strategist for Donald Trump, what would you recommend to get this message out there to the American people more broadly?
I think the way is to use the Reaganite approach of using clear and vivid anecdotes. I would do a campaign ad that begins with poor Haitians protesting outside the Clinton Foundation. Hey, Bill, hey, Hillary, where's the Haiti earthquake money? And then I would go on to show that a great deal of money was allocated for Haiti. Bill and Hillary were in a position to intercept it. Very little of that money actually got there.
All right, we will leave it there. Dinesh, thank you so much for joining us, sir. We appreciate it.
Dinesh D'Souza. Good evening, Dinesh.
Hello.
All right, Dinesh, what I'd like to find out from you is, having written Hillary's America and produced it, do you feel when you see her coming back that she's looking to recreate Hillary's America again? And what are the chances of that?
I think with Hillary, as with Obama, you're dealing with characters who have no ability to change, to really innovate. They're what they are now, what they always have been. Now, with Hillary, she represents a kind of, unification of two strains in the Democratic Party, both bad. One is the kind of gangster strain, which is a strain of self-aggrandizement, piling on the money, using the government as a weapon against your opponents, feathering your nest. On the other side, the ideological strain, the kind of socialist strain that seeks to centralize power. And Hillary has sort of united these two strains in the Democratic Party. Now, when she was in the government, she was able to draw money because she could both intimidate her opponents and also offer carrots to foreign governments, foreign entities, essentially by paying her.
But she doesn't have that power anymore.
Exactly, and this is why I think her re-entry into politics is going to be so intriguing, because she's now got to rely on that Clinton shysterism to cajole money out of people who are going to be reluctant to give.
Well, and so how is she going to do it? If Tom Perez is not stepping up to the plate, or, you know, is getting booed all the time by the Bernie Sanders supporters, and, you know, if Bernie Sanders calls himself a socialist, he doesn't even think he's a Democrat. I mean, is there room, is there a vacuum so that Hillary does come back?
I think Hillary and Obama are both have become huge millstones for the Democratic Party. You can just see the debris that the Democratic Party has generated, the loss of governorships, the loss of the sort of rout in the House and the Senate. But nevertheless, they're counting on conning their own hardcore supporters into believing that they remain the iconic totems of the Democratic Party and of the leftist cause.
And right now, if she doesn't have access to sell, and she doesn't have the ability to do any of the stuff that she did when she was in power, do you think that the American people are sucker enough to give her money?
I don't think the American people are. The real question is, can she tap into the large engines of money and power on the left? Remember that the left has been sort of routed from the government, but they remain very dominant in academia, in the media, in Hollywood, in the whole world of the culture. And there's a great deal of both cultural power, but there's also a great deal of money, George Soros and so on. So the question is, do the Clintons still have their greasy magic to be able to get money out of those people?
Yeah, well, you know, I would suspect that, you know, given the women who are marching on the day after the inauguration, I mean, and you'd ask them, what are you marching for or against? They didn't seem to know that, you know, it's just a generic kind of, we're not happy and maybe, you know, let's get behind her. But let's talk about socialism, Venezuela. All right, the protests in Venezuela and what is happening over there, because people are revolting because they want food and they want medical care. I mean, do you see a connection between the message of Hugo Chavez, his ability to raise money, and the trauma that's going on in Venezuela now?
My wife, Debbie, is from Venezuela, so I've learned a lot about that country through her. The truth of it is that Venezuela represents a realization of everything that Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren talk about. They want to bring the top 1% to heel. They've done that in Venezuela. They want the government to sort of direct and quarterback the private sector. They do it over there. And the bottom line is that a once prosperous country, an oil-rich country, has been reduced to starvation and ruin. And when Hugo Chavez died a few years ago, his net worth was $1 billion, greater than even the Clintons. So he, too, was a gangster just like the Clintons, using the government and using government power to accumulate a great deal of private wealth for himself.
Oh, Dinesh D'Souza, it's good to have you on Justice again. Thanks so much for all